We're talking about the power to change today. So, who here feels like they have power in their life? Yeah, great, awesome. So, what is it that you have power over or with? Just shout it out.
Thoughts.
Excellent. Yeah, great. So today, we're going to talk about the power of power. And, a couple of weeks ago, actually it was a month ago, several months ago, we started out with the power of faith. And we looked at, the personality side first, which is, what exactly do we have faith in? Do we have faith in fear? Do we have faith in love? And we know that in the 12 powers, we're talking about having faith in love. And then the following month, we looked at strength. And, we talked about having strength from the personality or the ego, which is strength in physical strength or strength in getting through something. And then there is the steadfastness strength that we need to have faith, right? That's the spiritual power of strength. And then we went on to wisdom. And we talked about the personality side of wisdom, which is all that we become wise to on the earth plane, and things like knowing that we have an acorn and a tree is going to grow from it. But do we have wisdom in that intuition that comes from within, deep within us? That's the spiritual power of wisdom, is knowing what to discern and what to use in our life. And also discerning in love, right? Because love is a power. And we could look at love just as, we love chocolate and we love our family. But there's also the spiritual love, which is to rise above it all and love the fact that we are all one and knowing that. And are we discerning our thoughts to know that oneness? And today we're talking about the power of power or the power of dominion or the power of mastery. They're all the same. But again, that is the power over our thoughts. And when we have the power over our thoughts, we have power over our words. And when we have power over our words is what creates a vibration. And it's that vibration that we send out which creates our life. That's where our power comes from. And we have the power of power is symbolized by the color purple. That's why I'm wearing purple today. That's also my favorite color. It is behind the throat or the back of the tongue. It's the voice box. That's where the power of power is. And it's also symbolized by the disciple Philip. So we've got 3 P's. We've got the power of power, the disciple Philip, and we've got the color purple. And also, the name Philip is a Greek name that means the lover of horses. And many of you probably know horsepower is a common use of the measurement for energy or power. So now let's remember, Jesus and his 12 disciples symbolize the Christ in us. And now metaphysically, we are going to experience these disciples within our mind so that we can experience our Christ consciousness, right? We're going to take his teaching from what is in reality, what is in the physical form of the world, and we're going to put it into our metaphysical mind to use those disciples, to use those faculties to accomplish that Christ consciousness. And he taught and trained his disciples and called them forth and trained them and quickened them so that we can do the same with these faculties in our mind, right? Because we all have them. We have all of these faculties. Every one of us has these faculties. But it's just about whether or not we are empowering ourselves to use them to the highest good, to use them in the Christ consciousness. So, like I said, we have the power-up says there's 3 P's, power, Philip, and purple. But translate them to the 3 P's of how we can use them for dominion in our fullest benefit. So first is positive, what we say. What we say needs to be positive. Then passionate, which is how we say it, right? That's our second P. And the third one is proactive, our expectations and expansiveness of our words. So you want to ask, how are you using your words? There's so much power in how we use our words and so much power in our thoughts. That's what we talk so much about here at Unity. I also want to Matthew in 12:37, he said, "For by thy words thou shalt be justified, and by thy words that thou shalt be condemned." So we can create misery or miracles in our life. We could create war, or we can create peace. I don't know if any of you know, but today is 11/11, which is Veterans Day. And I want to just get to my notes here about that. According to numerology, the number 11 is a master number, which signifies intuition, insight, and enlightenment. When paired with another 11/11, which is today's date, is a clear message from the universe to become conscious and aware. It is referred to as a wake-up call or a code of activation. So it's not an accident that I'm talking about the power of power today, you know? So I also want to talk about that it's Armistice Day, and it's the 100-year anniversary of signing the armistice, which is something to, I don't know if I want to say celebrate, but it's celebrating the men and women who gave up their lives for us to have this freedom. And I do want to take a moment to acknowledge them and maybe go into silence and hold them, because it is right now, It's
11:10.
It's 11:10. So let's just take one more moment and close our eyes and hold them in our hearts and hold the gratitude and the freedom that we have. And let us say thank you. So we have the power to create wars, and we have the power to create peace. We have the power to create misery. We have the power to create miracles. And it's all within us. And it's all in that remembering to be the guard at the portal of your mind for those thoughts. When we take in the fullness of how much power and authority we have, it changes the terrain of our lives. When we take that in and own it, it really allows us to be empowered in a way that we've never been before. Henry Ford said, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right." Yeah. Right? Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. It's the manner in which we use language determines how we experience reality. It's something we use every day. It's like our breath. We use our breath every day. We use words every day. So it's a full-time job, guys. I hate to break it to you, but the power of power is a full-time job. All of these are, but because we use our words so much, and we sometimes use them kind of carelessly. And hopefully after today, it'll be a little less carelessly, right? We also, words affect us, what people say to us and what we say to other people. I don't know if anybody here has ever had a parent say something to them that changed their life. I did. I grew up chubby, and I was labeled chubby, and I had to wear chubettes. Sears. I don't walk into a Sears store today because of chubettes. But it stuck with me forever, and it affected me for so long. It affected how I saw myself. It affected how, like, if somebody, let's move up. So I was a kid then. And then as I grew older, I got a very shapely body, but I was never thought I had a great body, never thought I was appealing or anything like that. And then I'm in the work world, and I finally started getting a pretty good self-esteem about myself. And I had on this amazing blue suit. was very fitted, and it was all buttoned up, and I had a peach top on. I was doing some kind of presentation that day. I don't know. But I get into the elevator with a bagel with cream cheese on it.
Oh, jeez.
And some guy, I'm there with my girlfriend, and some guy walks in to the elevator and says, if you eat that whole bagel, you're going to get fat.
Oh my God.
It took everything I could to not throw the bagel at this man. Yeah. And but my point is, I let those words, both the words that my parents said to me, and yes, it was a fact, I had to wear chubettes, but I blame Sears, quite frankly. But anyway. And then what I did with those words for the rest of my life. You know, and so to undo that, I'm at 59, I'm still undoing that. I'm still undoing that. I look back at pictures of myself when I was in my 20s and thinking I had to lose 10 pounds, and it was like, where was I going to lose 10 pounds? My point in all this is the words, how words affect us. Words that people say to us, words that we say to ourselves, the power that they have. So Charles Fillmore writes, the power center in the throat controls all the vibratory energies of the organism. It is the open door between the formless and the formed worlds of vibration pertaining to the expression of sound. See, first we have feelings, right? And the feelings are invisible, but we create a thought about those feelings. So that now has become form. We have a thought form about it. And then words are the expression of that. So words create the manifestation of it, and that's the vibration. So what we could also do, which will help this, is, you guys know the answer to this because I've been saying it every week, meditation. Meditation is what really helps us to get on top of our words, to get on top of our thoughts. Conscious contact with God, that's what Jesus did every day. Conscious contact with God. Going to prayer and meditation to be in the stillness of who we are. Because that's where we hear that still small voice. That still small voice that knows what's best for each and every one of us. And what's best for me is going to be best for everybody. If what's best for me is not best for everybody, then chances are it's not coming from the still small voice. Hate to tell you. Chances are then it's coming from our personality or our ego. So we have a tool, once again. And you know what's interesting is we talked about this when we were talking about strength, how strength is really silence. But in using our vitality, we're expressing strength. Well, here in power, pure power is silence and stillness. But it's our word that expresses it. So it has to go to form and then word. So Jesus said, it is the spirit that gives life. The flesh is of no avail. The words that I have spoken to you are spirit and life. The deeper meaning is he used this power and energy to transform earthly things, right? Didn't he just say, you will be healed? And people were healed. That's what he did. And he had that power because he used it. He had that consciousness and he had that connection with the God within him. And then he went to the disciples and said, you go out and do the same thing. All of us can go out and do the same thing, right? What I do, you can do better. Something, that's the quote, something like that, yeah. He asked his disciples to go out and do what he did. In Matthew 24:35, heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away. Jesus is letting us know it is our words that will carry his message, and they are the truth. And the truth not only sets us free, but it never dies. The truth never dies. And as you work with meditation, you'll see more and more spiritual power infused in your words. So they come through that power center, and they can become through as more loving, because you're also going to be using your power of love. So they come through as loving and harmonious, so people can hear them. They have a better impact. Speaking of truth, Charles Fillmore used an analogy of the ripples of stone thrown in water. You know how the ripples they go out, and those ripples go out throughout the whole world. Well, that's the way truth is. Truth is like a silver bullet. When you speak the truth, the listener cannot not hear it. They may not like it, They may deny it. They may not be ready for the truth, but it sticks in their heart and it works away and works away and works away. And at some point, and they might not remember that you were the person who said it, and it doesn't matter. Our job is to just say the truth. And at some point, they will acknowledge it and come from that place of truth and act from that place of truth. And that's when our work is done. We might not know it, we might not see it, but that's what the truth is. It's like a silver arrow or a silver bullet. And the other thing about truth is we don't have to say it loud. We don't have to repeat ourselves. It's just the truth. And when we know that, we can let it go. If they want to argue with us, if someone wants to argue, we can just, it's the truth. I don't know what else to tell you. And let it go. The truth does not need to be defended in any way, shape, or form. The person who has to speak really loud, they're doing that to distract the listener from the fear that's really going on within them. And when we're speaking the truth, there's fear really isn't there. It might feel uncomfortable because we're not used to speaking the truth. And maybe there is a fear that we'll lose somebody because we're speaking the truth. I know that's happened to me many times in my life. I speak the truth and people leave, but that's okay. I'd rather know that I'm speaking the truth. Because that's, for me, that's all about trust. If I can trust myself to speak the truth no matter what, I'm going to attract that into my life. I want people that I can trust in my life, right? Truth is spiritual power. It is quiet, harmonious, smooth, and flowing. When you speak the truth, you want to say it lovingly and compassionately, without resentment, so that it gives the person a little bit better opportunity to hear it, right? You don't want to be overbearing with it. Because sometimes, as it is, what you're saying is hard enough to hear when it's the truth, if they're not used to hearing the truth. We are made in the image and likeness of God. So the power of dominion is mastery, is responsibility, authority, what to do, using our divine power for building up, or it can be used to destroy. That's how powerful it is. So that's why you want to be careful about what you're saying. Is what you're saying going to build something up, something positive that you want, or is it going to destroy something that really doesn't need to be destroyed? So you have to use judgment and discernment. Do you see how all these powers are kind of like starting to work in together? We have to be mindful when we're using all of these powers. We have to choose our thoughts, make sure that they're uplifting and good and truth. And when we choose our thoughts, our emotions go with them. It's just natural. That's the way our bodies work. That's the way our mind works. And this is where we also get to apply denials and affirmations. So denials aren't things that we're saying it didn't happen. Stuff that we don't like happens all the time. But we deny the power they have over us. And then we affirm what it is that we want to feel and what we want to experience. So denial is like cleaning the brain out of the weeds. You know, I think of the mind as soil. And anything will grow in soil, but if you want a good crop, you clean out the weeds, you feed it, right? So if denials are like cleaning out the weeds, cleaning out the negative thoughts, and the affirmations are putting in the seeds that you want to grow. This isn't a small task. You know, this is huge. When we can realize and experience and know that we we have this power, the ability to control and manifest what it is that we want is huge. So our mind is bigger than our brain. Our mind is our full body. We have full body sensations, right? Don't we get intuitions from other parts of our body? Our heart actually has a brain of its own that communicates to our brain and gives us information. Lots of people have a feeling about something and they don't know how or why, but that's our brain, that's our intuition, that's our connection to everything that is. And when we get comfortable with knowing what that is and using it and speaking it, we become much more empowered in our lives. So, what are we going to do with this power? Today is the day the Lord has made. So today is the day, right? Can't go for yesterday, can't go to tomorrow. Right now. We live in today, we pray in today. So what are you claiming today? What are your thoughts today? We can only transform or transfigure any aspect of our lives right here and right now. This is the power of dominion that we have. It's right in this moment. We are right now in our oneness with our divinity. Right now, we are in that oneness. So we can take this from the invisible to the visible. And we know that pure power is silence, formed power is thought, and expressed power is word. The word is not the source of our power. The word is the expenditure of our power. So here we are, 11:11, the gateway to make a change, the gateway to spirituality. So today's the day, 11:11, the wake-up call. So let's embrace this power of dominion. I invite you, and maybe even challenge you, to take on the fullness of how much authority we have as expressions of God, made in the likeness and image of that divine nature. Use your words positively and powerfully to say yes to the best of who you are. And know that you can because you say you can. We can because we say we can. It is so. Amen.